Oh, we are. I see StreamYard is back to its 2025 roots. Anyway, hello, everyone. My name is Brent. It is Friday, January 2nd, noonish Eastern. Welcome to the very first Small Biz Breakdown of 2026. Sounds pretty good to say 2026 because I was pretty fed up with 2025. So I'm glad we made it through. I'm glad y'all made it through because we still got a lot of stuff to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is, well, this is the first time I've done anything since the holidays. It was so nice to be off. It was so nice not to be editing video or putting out all sorts of content just to try to, make some business moves. I just enjoyed myself. I just watched football. I ate a hell of a lot. Didn't even think about stuff other than food, football, family. And it felt really good. I have to tell you, it felt damn good not have to worry about how many views did I get for this or how many clicks. It was a cleansing experience, folks. So I am refreshed. I'm revived. I'm ready to go in 2026. I know who else is ready to go. Leland from Oregon is ready to go. Right, Leland?
Yep, I'm here, ready to go. I took a little bit of a break too, and it was nice. Ate some good food. Went over to some friend's house for New Year's. I cooked a brisket, and it was one of the best briskets I've made thus far. Still trying to perfect that recipe, that technique, but it was delicious and it was relaxing. And I feel the same. I feel a little refreshed coming back.
A relaxing, delicious brisket. Sounds good to me. Let's see if there's any relaxation in magical, mystical Medina, where we go to even a Taylor.
Hi, everyone. So good to see you all. I had a lovely, lovely Pennsylvania Christmas with my husband's family. There was snow, there was cold, there were presents, and just like you, lots of delicious food, friends. We did like a house, went to some friends for New Year's, and they did a make like a pizza bar, build your own pizza bar.
It sounds good to me.
Right? So they had like just it was fantastic. So much better than I expected. And we got cold dumped on. We were just in the neighborhood, literally like a half a mile away from our house in a car. It took us 10 minutes to get home. That's how snowy and icy it was in a four-wheel drive truck.
Wow.
So you can, and we're used to this kind of thing. We live for it. We love it, but it was something.
Yeah, I went home to Delaware and was greeted with like wind chills of 5 and 15 degrees and freezing rain and all that kind of nonsense. I was really glad to get back home where it was 60 degrees. It's currently going to be 60 degrees. Very happy about that. I'm also very happy to say the big guy is back with us, the cold one. Some call him the bold one. He's a year older, so make up your mind on that. John Colder Ice Lawson is back.
What's up? Yay.
Nice t-shirt, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was a wonderful holiday. Got to see the family. Cool thing about visiting my in laws is that they live in, uh, the South, South, the deep South,
The Dirty
you
South?
know, the dirty South. It's definitely the dirty South, of Mississippi. So we were enjoying like 72-degree weather. So I didn't have to worry about none of that stuff. And of course, like you said, we get to watch sports. And of
Here we go.
course,
Here we go.
we get to
Made
talk
for
about how our Falcons took a bite out of that LA butt. So that was a wonderful, wonderful time.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that Christmas present.
Oh, it was
We gave
wonderful. Thank you. I told you that was my Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, enjoy it. Because we might be in the actual one, so you enjoy
Yeah,
it.
well, that's okay. We get to say we beat you.
Yeah. Anyway, it's always a pleasure seeing you. All right, so it is the second day of the new year. Each of you, please tell me what you hope 2026 is about for you, and maybe even for small businesses in general. Who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Ooh,
Ladies first.
This is-
You guys, I don't know that you're going to like what I have to say.
Yeah, let's
we
go.
usually don't, but that's okay.
I am praying for blissfully boring.
Blissfully.
I think small businesses could use a little bit less drama and a lot more consistency. And that's what, if I had to have a prayer and a wish for 2026, I think a little bit of boringness, right? We're just like boring. You're just gonna serve your customers, you're gonna do your thing, kind of like the way our Christmas went. That would be so awesome, but that's just me.
Blissfully boring. I like that actually. That sounds kind of good. Leave it to Madam Mike drop of blissfully boring. I mean, it's good stuff.
I don't know. I'm sure there are many better mic drops to come. Oh, I'm gonna throw it over to John, who said ladies first.
All right. Man, I'm looking for a year of recovery and redemption. Yes,
Wow.
that would be lovely. It'd be a time for us to catch up on a lot of things that got out of hand last year, uh, and just really get ready for a crazy, wild, AI driven future. I mean, it's about to get off the rails this year. So get ready in a good way, I hope.
Okay. I
I'd
guess
say-
that means
I'd say
you.
I'd say the AI is already off the rails, but that's just my opinion. But I'm hoping for growth and even new beginnings, because at New Year's I was sitting around with a bunch of our close friends, and like they're all getting into business. Like ones are starting business or had started businesses last year, and their growth has just it's getting to the point where it's getting hard for them to be able to just they're looking at hiring helpers and stuff like that, because they're in the construction business, and
Oh.
it's just getting too much, and they're getting booked out further and further. So growth for them to be able to hire more people and be able to sustain that kind of workload to be able to hire more people. But then even new beginnings, because some other friends are like, well, I want to start moving into doing business, and being able to seize those opportunities that you see within your community that are like, well, there's this market, there's this hole in the market, and I want to be able to fill it. And so just those kinds of things when it comes to small business, that's what I'd love to see.
All right, now I got to ask the tough question. Do you expect to see all that you hope for? Even do you expect things to be blissfully boring in 2026?
Absolutely not. No, I do not expect it. I expect external factors to try to spin every small business owner out, spin them out, take them off track, and all the things like that John was saying and that Leland was saying, And so I would remind every small business owner to be internally directed. You be at the cause. Don't let external things be the cause. Don't let external things spin you out. It is what I would recommend. Stick to the fundamentals. Those are always going to be true. Regardless of what happens in AI, regardless of what's going on, the fundamentals are the fundamentals. So I don't expect it to be blissfully boring, no. But I think if you can stay grounded, you can survive the chaos.
All right, I gotta go to the big guy again because I don't see AI and blissfully boring going hand in hand. I mean, so how do you use AI in 2026? Because it's not a matter of should I or shouldn't I. It is you gotta, But how do you do it in a way that actually comes across as feeling as blissfully boring as you possibly could with AI ruling the world? He just
I don't
laughing
know.
at me. By the way, shout out Pierre. Pierre, if you're around, let us know. Join us if you can.
I mean, here's the thing. We are moving into another phase of AI coming up here. You know, uh, Everybody talked about agentic last year. Nobody saw it really. This year, you're going to see it. We're going to be able to utilize AI to replace some of the tedious and boring tasks of what it takes to run a business. And I think we're going to really start seeing that coming up this year. What you do with that and how you handle that will be up to the individual. Some will probably try to buck it, others will embrace it. I say, you got to go with the flow because it's going to come anyway. I remember way back in the day when uh, my mother, my mother used to always opt out of uh, automatic phone services and try to speak to a human. And she said that I'm doing that because I don't want all this, electronic stuff, and I want to protect somebody's job that it was to, answer the phone. Well, that didn't work. So the same is going on right now. Either you get with the flow or you get run over, and you might as well go ahead and enjoy the ride because it's going to be a great year for many and a bad year for others. Which side do you want? That's just how it's going to be, I think.
I agree, because I was talking with a friend, the one that wants to start a business, and he's an electrical engineer, and he would be trying to doing that thing where you transition into a business, but you're still working for the company that you're working for. But he also wants to do stuff on the side to be able to further it up. And I'm like, well, what are your thoughts on AI? And he's like, he's that staunch. I was like, I want to be, I don't want to do it. I'm like, well, you may need to, and you may need to come to a point into which everyone's doing AI, but then you're not, and then you're kind of left in the dust. He's like, yeah, I get it. And I'm like, there's, because he works on medical equipment, it's like, okay, for the medical equipment, maybe you don't want to necessarily dive too heavy into the AI, but if you want to do these side projects to where someone's like, just make me up this PCB board that handles this one little task, well, that will take you 10 hours to do, or you could have AI get you 90% of the way there or 80% of the way there. And so a 10-hour task all of a sudden becomes 2 hours. He's like, and that's more time with your family, and you're able to bill on a project base, not necessarily on like an hourly base. He's like, I could see that. Yeah. So, even the staunchest are starting to be like, well, maybe I do need to,
Mhm.
in order to be able to stay competitive in this world, in this industry.
Why don't we say a happy 2026 to our buddy Pierre Dubois? By the way, how are things in Gary, Indiana? Did you get snow and ice for Christmas and all that stuff?
As a matter of fact, yes, we did get some snow and ice. More a little bit sort of a rainy type snow more than anything else. There's snow on the ground, but it's a nice little sheen of icy goodness. Just to think of it as a good apple cobbler, but with more snow and more ice to it than the cobbler part.
All right, that's a unique way of looking at things, Pierre. We appreciate that. So we asked everybody, what are they hoping for in 2026? So what are you hoping for?
If I had to put a finger on it, I would say the biggest thing. I kind of agree a little bit with you, even about the kind of a quiet, but I think I think it's more organizing than anything else. We're going to see more discussion about context engineering with AI, which gets into using AI with devices, using AI with tools. And I think that's going to trigger off a lot of good discussion about what not only the role of AI should be, but what our role would be with AI. I was in Clubhouse last night and had joined in on a conversation about people creating these AI movies, and a lot of the discussion was about the legal ramifications of the IP and who's responsible. And I think as we get into, and it was good conversation, a lot of questions which weren't getting answered. But the thing I said in there, and I'll say this here, is that I think we're starting to see, we kind of need, as humans, we just need to see what's happening a little bit more to have an idea of what to respond to, whether it's something legal or something that's more behavioral. So I think we're going to make decisions around that definitely in 2026.
All right, I got a follow up for this one. People are still on Clubhouse. I have completely dismissed, forgotten completely about Clubhouse. Is it still an active thing? Are people still using Clubhouse pretty like all the while? I know all the other kind of social platforms have gotten a lot of the shine, but Clubhouse is still going on, huh?
Yes. Although I think it's a little more casual than anything else. It's kind of like a second version of Facebook in some ways. There's still people who use it for business. There's still people who host rooms. I think what's happened in the last few years is that you're right, there has been a little bit of waning off because of people are kind of getting away from COVID. But at the same time, people are also figuring out how to reconnect with each other on the topics that they're sharing. Sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes it can be I think the bad thing is when the hosts are just recycling certain things. I call it, they're a nickel and dime Oprah, where they're trying to be journalistic, but there's not quite the quality that you expect there. But I think people just like being connected. Is something about hearing voices and audio. It's the same reason why podcasts are a big deal. We just love hearing what people are saying and kind of digesting the information that way.
Damn. Have you guys, any of you other than Pierre, been on a Clubhouse thing in the last 6 months, a year? I had completely forgot. I have to be completely honest about it. Is X, does X still have their, whatever that thing was called, their?
Yes, they do. Right now, X and Clubhouse are kind of the two biggies. LinkedIn used to have social audio, but they got rid of it about a year ago. I still think that was a mistake, frankly, but that's a whole nother can of worms to deal with.
All right, one last question on this, because I am really fascinated by this. Would you recommend anybody who's looking to find an audience or looking to build some kind of community to leverage Clubhouse in 2026?
That's a good question. I would say it can be helpful, but it depends on topics. What most people are doing with Clubhouse is that they're kind of introducing themselves and then having people say, hey, if you really want to follow me for distinct subjects, go to Substack. Substack is a big deal. People still I use Medium. I'm a Medium person. People built communities around that. It just depends on what you're trying to extend out. I think the business part might be a little tricky because some people have kind of tired out. But at the same time, you have, there's stuff. I know Ramon gets involved with Breakfast of Champions quite a bit. They're very popular, and that is a very good, tight-knit group that has been very regular. And I think that's the challenge, is trying to figure out. I think it's the same challenge from 2025. People are figuring out which platforms work best for the content and the topics that they want to cover.
I am like, there's so many questions that are coming to mind because everybody is still chasing an audience. We're all trying to build or chase or whatever you want to call it. And most people seem to gravitate towards whatever is talked about the most. But there are still, it's almost sort of like the left behind social platforms. Mr. Ice, do you use any of the kind of social platforms that were once hot and now they don't appear to be? Or do you focus on the things that are
absolutely? I use Facebook.
Okay. But Facebook really hasn't fallen off like a Clubhouse. I don't hear anybody talk about Clubhouse.
I mean, seriously, Clubhouse, I'm sure, is great for people that are still on Clubhouse. I never liked it. I never liked it.
Why didn't you ever like it? Because to me, I know I'm kind of knowing what I didn't like. It didn't feel like a standalone thing. It was just, all right, people are talking. that seems better
Yeah.
if you have an as part of a platform, not the platform. But I never
I just
saw
didn't
the
like the
value of
fact
it
that
as a
I just
standalone.
didn't
Yeah.
like the fact that it didn't have anything other than voice. It was voice only, and that's probably what I didn't like about it. Because, like you said, you could have just listened to a podcast. I don't know. It just didn't. And then you needed an extra app to do it. It was just a to me, it had layers that I didn't need, and it made sense. I think for people that didn't know what to do with their life now that they had no life in COVID, and
Mm.
and I thought that drove a lot of people. It's like, wow, I don't know what to do. Oh, I can listen to this ongoing drivel, not like everybody's drivel, but it would just play in the background. And I think it did find its niche. And people, it's like this day, there's millions of people probably there. There's millions of people on Pinterest that none of us think about. There's a lot of these networks of people everywhere, even threads to me. I don't get it, but people use it. Thousands, hundreds of millions of people are there. So yeah, if you're looking for an audience, you can build an audience on any of these platforms and be successful because you don't need that many people to be successful. Like it's the true, the old school, law of 1,000. I get
So
1,000 people.
So 2026. Let's say you're somebody who, like, I think, yeah, Leland is saying you're hearing people getting more into business or trying to build their businesses up. There seems to be, if you are starting from basically like ground zero, 2026, I want to build a community of folks that are interested in what I have to offer in order to be able to sustain and grow a business. Where do you start? What platform do you start? How do you start it? What are the things you should stay away from? Because it feels like people are just always in chase mode. They're chasing and they never get to where they want to go. They never get the audience that they envision they have or want to have. So if you are starting this year, right now, to build an audience, a community to support your business, you sell stuff. It could be actual hardware. It could be services. But where do people start in order to, let's say, get to 1,000 community? That might be a lot, but 1,000 community. I'm not even going to say active. I'm just saying 1,000 people in their community by the end of this year. Where should they start? What should they use?
I think that it highly depends on what you are selling. That there makes all the difference. Are you an author and you're wanting to sell your book? That's more of an Instagram kind of thing. Are you a person who does little crafting and you wanting to sell it? Pinterest might be Pinterest in Instagram. Are you a restaurant? Facebook, and maybe Instagram. Are you wanting to do consultation service? LinkedIn would probably be a better kind of, and maybe even X for that. It just really, and that's an important thing to do. You don't want to be a consultant and you're working on Instagram, that your audience isn't going to be there. And so make sure that you're using the right tool to be able to get yourself out there.
No one else? Even
I tell you, I'm against the grain kind of girl, right? And what I think is working and has been working is direct marketing, right? So I would say start with a spreadsheet, use your LinkedIn, start with your contacts, like in here, right here, right? That's what's working. Conversations with real people. That's what I have seen when I think about the best use of your time with the highest return on the best use of your time, and you have no money. Right here, baby. This is your best bet. And a spreadsheet. And right? Like get on the freaking phone, call people, talk to people, start meeting for coffee. Like you got to start somewhere, right? And to support some of the things that John is saying that we did not have that I think would be like so powerful is using AI tools to help you get organized, to help you manage some of that stuff, to help you from having things fall through the cracks. Because that is the problem with the strategy that I'm talking about. It's like running a marathon. It requires you to participate daily, every day for a certain amount of time.
Dang. That's a lot.
That was a mic drop, by the way.
No,
No, it was, because I think a lot of people are bypassing that. They're generally speaking, I know I tend to generalize a bit. I think most people are looking not to do any of that. They're looking toward a tool that will do it for them. And when they hear about the hot, shiny objects, like I remember when Clubhouse came out during the beginning of the pandemic, and I remember a guy that I know, I'm not going to say his name. What I don't want to say, he was kind of humble bragging, because I just want to thank everybody who followed me to the on whatever that thing is again. I did Clubhouse for me to reach 1 million followers on Club. And then when he said that, of course, everybody's like, how can I get that? How can I? And so all they're doing is looking for either a built community of billions of people that will automatically follow them just by them posting something, or trying to kind of be in front of the wave so that they can then say, I'm the person you should follow if you want to learn more about that. They're not interested in doing the work that you just talked about. The platform is the work. The put the credit card down. All right, that's the hard work. Bring the followers.
I've been saying this for so long, and actually I originally applied it to SEO, and I think Pierre has heard me say this. The world of marketing is like life. There's pizza and then there's vegetables. Now, I love pizza. You take me to a restaurant and I will order pizza because I love it. But you cannot live on pizza, people. You got to eat your vegetables, right? So that's like, and the things I'm talking about right now, I feel like the unfun person in this panel because I'm talking about your vegetables. You got to ask yourself the question, do I want to be famous or do I want to make money? Because the two are not the same. And what I am standing up for is making money. And your fastest path to cash is not exciting. Just like your fastest path to being fit and healthy is not fun. Requires eating your vegetables, getting out there and exercise, all the things that are not fun. They are not fun, but they are rewarding on the back end.
Yeah, I'm going to build on what Ivana was saying a little bit too. I think the problem is with each platform, people try to game it in some ways. And the message that people have heard over the last, let's say, I'll tell you even like last 8, it's been over 8 years, like 10, but I'll say at least definitely during COVID and beyond has been, if I'm on YouTube, how do I automate it to just have followers so that way I can make money without being on there? Or how do I get to, and even on Clubhouse, I think part of the reason you've heard so little on it, Brent, you have some people who are still having these conversations, but are trying to monetize it with a Cash App at the top, that type of thing. And people have heard of quote unquote success stories of folks who've been able to do this, but it's very, and unfortunately what you get is people selling that process and not really a product or service. I'll say from my end of it, for analytics, I've always quietly avoided folks who have gone too far into that realm because they are not, the metrics and everything else, they're not interested in really good analytics. They're just kind of interested in the surface stuff and just kind of trying to make money. The problem is that doesn't, to Ivana's point, that type of thinking is not only the pizza, it's like bad junk food pizza and stuff that you cannot build. I mean, it may seem like you're making some money, but it doesn't build for longevity. And even now, I think the platforms have gotten smarter about adjusting reach, how people are paid out. Real quick example, and I'll give up the mic. Medium, for example, changed their payout system to where at minimum you have to earn $10 within the month. If you don't, it rolls over to the next month, which means if you're a writer and you like to write, you need to write quality pieces and not just junk just to get the eyeballs and just to get the money for that month in order to maintain it. So there's a lot of things now that are forcing people to really kind of get to quality rather than just to get to the vegetables rather than just being only the junk pizza person.
You know, I'm gonna move the conversation out of Nana Corner and let y'all hang out over there. I'm gonna say by far, probably the best for fastest growth and discovery would be TikTok. And here's why it works. The algorithm on TikTok is ridiculously generous for new content creators. You don't need existing followers or an audience to get views. If you can create an engaging short form video, you can hit 1,000 followers in a week. So that's something you probably can't do on other platforms. You know, you can't really necessarily do that on a, you know, LinkedIn or a Instagram, but TikTok, you can do it. It's got a younger demographic though, you know, and it's full of Gen Z and millennials, but it's expanding to other age groups, you know, and the reason why is because even though this goes into the Nana Corner, video is still king. The only difference is that TikTok has changed the algorithm and it's really optimized for short form video. So I think you can do what you want to do with the video on a TikTok. Now converting those people into paid customers, that's a whole nother can of worm that we can probably talk about. But this idea that followers will get you money is often very there's not a good link between those two, and most people get so excited about being seen that they don't understand how to turn seen into paid.
Well, I think a lot of folks feel like they are going to become, unfortunately, like I think Pierre said, or maybe all of us are saying, they don't seem to want to like build an audience to then sell them on a product or service. They're trying to directly monetize just the audience. It feels like they're a TV show, you know, and they make money just on doing it, being a TV show. Now, I don't know if small, you know, like the traditional small business feel it like that, but it feels like most of the people that I see, it feels like they're trying to build up an audience in order to like monetize just being on doing a TV show or something like that, as opposed to that's a step. You know, all right, now we build a community, now we nurture the community, now we, you know, do something that's not just the show, but it's all right, we've got these people watching the show or, you know, listening to our podcast, and then we monetize something that's not just the show. It feels like most people are thinking, oh, if I build this huge audience, that must mean, you know, I'm gonna, you know, be able to sell them just, you know, knickknacks and t-shirts and chains and nothing that's not specifically about just having them around so I can sell them, you know, various goods and things just to monetize what we do with the show, as opposed to, all right.
I mean, look, that worked in 2020. I mean, I get it. That actually was a thing at one point where you could just build an audience and somebody would pay you just to get a commercial on that audience.
Yep.
That doesn't work anymore.
Or some mug with a saying or a t-shirt with a saying.
Everybody got hip to that. There's tens of thousands of people that have duplicated that. And you know, actual advertisers have gotten hip to that game. They're not going to play that anymore. You need very targeted audiences at this point that take action.
I tend to believe you say people are hip to that. I don't think a lot of people are hip. Maybe there's a core group that are. I think the bigger audiences are not, because they still see. I'll go back to my favorite, the reactions. I remember, like, you used to laugh at me when I said, "Oh, I watch these reactions." Now everybody's doing a freaking reaction channel, and it's just so annoying at this point. but everybody, because they still see, oh, these guys must be making a killing because they're reacting to old movies and people are like viewing and leaving comments. So I'm going to do the same thing. There's a lot of people that are still doing that 2020, business model stuff, and they haven't learned yet that, they'll learn, because eventually after about 3 months, I noticed, wow, you haven't made a video, and because they're not able to monetize it like they thought they would. It seems like everybody is still, all right, I just need to build an audience and then milk it, as opposed to really nurture a community. And going back to Even said what she was saying, some of the things that she talked about are tried and true, but they never wanted to do that because it's too much work to do that stuff. They are always looking for this easy way out. And I don't care if you're using AI or not. If you still have that mentality using AI, you'll just get to your failure sooner, I think.
I mean, I wanted, maybe John is the best person to answer this. I really don't know, because, I've had observations, and maybe these observations have turned into a mindset for me. I'm not exactly sure it's a healthy mindset. Maybe I'm just old and grizzled, because I am older than John, to be clear.
Just by a smidge.
By a smidge, but so because my observation is that there are, and in the world of marketing, marketers, right? The really successful people. I don't care if they're content creators, if they're business owners. I don't care who they are or what they're selling, but they're out there making it seem like it's glamorous and easy, and like anyone can do it, and that they're doing something 2 hours at a time, or blah blah blah. And every experience that I have had, the few experiences that I've had behind the scenes of these operations, I can tell you that these people are working their asses off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want to be good at something, you are going to be working it. And I'm not saying you don't like doing it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that anyone who has been good at anything is working it. Like, I saw these two women, and I tend to think that, like, some of these mega influencers on TikTok, because I love TikTok, love it as an entertainment source, and I run into these people with like millions of followers, like, let's say they're fashionista type women or whatever, right? These women, when you first see the video, it occurs as vapid, right? Whether they're putting on makeup or putting on clothes or the things that they are saying. But just the other day, I run into this thing where these two women are going to meet up, and they're going to see if they're dressed in the same vibe. Now, I got to tell you that these women worked hard on these outfits. You can see in this video that they have created, on the surface, it seems like shallow, but it is not shallow, right? These women have put insane amounts of work into this. They were not goofing off. I can't imagine the amount of work and expertise that went into putting this together in a way to generate the kinds of views that they're going to get paid for. And so I think this idea that you're just going to do something 2 hours a day, or you're going to make faceless, you want to make faceless YouTube videos, that's going to be work. You want to do something well, it's going to be work. So not to sound like a TikTok, but like, prove me wrong, because I wonder if I'm wrong. Am I just old and grizzled?
Yeah. No
I'm
matter
glad
what
Pierre. Looks
I'm
like
glad you
Pierre's
threw that
talking, but
Oh, sorry about that. That was me. I have my I have my mute on. I was going to say, even as I don't think it's old and grizzled at all. I think it's that's the nature of media. When people go on camera, not everyone's going to moonwalk. Not everyone's going to. I have to say it. I'm from Gary. Not everyone's going to be the next Taylor Swift. But you need to have something on camera where there's where it reflects some sort of level of work. I could be Leyland could be a world-class chef at making all sorts of meals and preparation for it. He goes on YouTube, he gets followers because people want to learn how to cook better. People could follow me. I could be a curator of different chefs, meaning I could take all your recipes and say, hey, if you want great barbecue, you gotta check out Brent's Barbecue. Looking for iced tea? John Coder iced tea is the best iced tea in the world. You know, you want great pizza. Even as pizza parlor has been the best since forever and a day. I could be a great curator, and I'm not cooking, but I'm pointing my audience to really good resources that helps sort of explain the expertise. And I think that's the part that to all of this becomes the slippery slope, because YouTube does empower some people to be this discovered talent that probably would not have been discovered without YouTube. It also lets in people who are trying to say, hey, I just want to throw something out there and make a fast buck, which we just always have to be discerning about that when we deal with people.
Look, the problem is most people don't understand the difference between marketing and sales. Everybody's marketing, nobody's selling. And that's the biggest problem. You know, just because you are a great marketer doesn't mean you're going to make great sales. Marketing is about, creating demand, and making the sales is about that direct connection that makes money transfer. Building awareness, that's great. Educating a market about a product, like Pierre was talking about, that's great. Creating inbound interest, all of that's great. But if you can't get them to the cash register, that's where most people are missing the sales portion, because sales is about converting that demand into revenue through a direct interaction and understanding what the buyer needs and their objections, and then negotiating the terms to closing the deal. Most people are not sales. They're not doing enough understanding around sales, and that's why they're not making any money. They don't have a product.
I think most people aren't sales because they don't want to do sales. It's hard to ask somebody to give you money, and then when they say no, you take it personally. Most people take it personally, and that's why more people are in the marketing than they're in sales, because they don't want to have that negative reaction to something that they ask somebody that they want. Will you please buy my service? No. Well, damn, I ain't asking them that anymore. That's right. You recoil. So I think it's easier for marketing than to do sales. And that's why most people focus on the marketing than the sales. Now, there are certain instances where you're in sales, but you're not a salesperson. You're more of an order taker, because for whatever reason, people are coming at you instead of you going out to hunt them. And so it's much easier to sit back and say, oh, yeah, I can fill that order. But that ain't sales. A lot of people think they're in sales, but they're just order takers. Salespeople go out hunting and they ask for the business and they get rejected 9 times out of 10. But that 10th time might be like the big sale of the year. But you never get to that, because most people never get to that because they are so burned out from hearing no before they get to the yes.
Well, I mean, if you go, go ahead.
You're going to add to this, so please hang on to that thought. I just was doing some research. I'm going to be doing a podcast interview for a sales podcast. How many of us have heard that it takes 7 touches, right? Like everyone's like, oh,
back in the day,
touches, right?
Yeah, it's more than that. But yes.
Heck yeah. This is my trivia question for you guys. How many touches, how many licks does it take? How many touches does it take to close the sale in 2025? Anybody want to guess?
22?
24.
10.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
266.
According to what?
I cannot remember. It's not HubSpot. There's another one. I forget what the name of the place was, but it's one of these things that they did, right?
Now, what's considered a touch?
But Brent, you must straighten it. And this is where all the things this is why I wanted to bring it up. Because all the things that we're talking about are considered a touch. It could be a video view. It could be a blog post. It could be a social post. It could be an email. It could be a text. It could be a coupon. All the things, right, in the right order, in the right direction, and so on and so forth, right? So because when I saw 266, what did I say? I'm a big fan of direct marketing. I'm like, who's going to call anybody 266 times? No. It's like these channels that you have selected. Right. So, John, I hope you remembered what you were going to say.
Before he does that,
yeah.
how long, how much time does that entail? Those 200 and some odd. How much time goes through that?
No, they
It
could be.
depends. Well,
It could be all in a day.
right. It depends on what you're selling. Depends on the selling cycle of whatever. Like a B2B sale, you selling some high end equipment, right? That's cost $100,000 or more. This is like a two-year sale, right? But if you're selling Tootsie Pops, right, it's going to be
Okay.
a whole lot different. John, I'm
Yeah,
sorry I interrupted.
No, I wanted to use an example of the differences, like Brent said, order taker versus a salesperson. And you can run into that, or you will run into that when you go into a restaurant. You go into a restaurant and you'll have an order taker by on average. You sit down, you look at the menu, what do you want? That order taker will take your order and just go. But you'll also often have a good salesperson that has the ability to understand the buyer needs, allow you to ask them some questions. They'll make some suggestions on what you might order or some upsells that will go along with what you just ordered, and they will end up making more money than the order taker because they have given you a sales pitch basically when you sat down and looked at the menu. And so you can watch the differences between a person that's good at sales and a person that's just an order taker.
By the way, shout out to Pilar. Happy 2026, Pilar. I guess I'll push this one up too. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That is my VA of 10 years.
And she wants to be your VA for 10 more years because she's saying
She will be with me forever.
Mission accomplished, Pilar. Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Awesome, guys.
I think once again, how does AI help people who do not enjoy the aspect of getting turned down over and over and over, so that they
you can let it turn you down over and over and over.
So talk a little bit about that, because I think everybody is focused, like you said, heavily on the marketing. Like, oh, I can make 10,000 blue widget
videos of me.
Yeah,
Yes.
and who cares? All right, in the long run, who cares?
Well,
So
one
talk
of the
about
things
AI from a sales. Like, how does it help with the real problem that people are having, which is that conversion you talk about, that sales, being able to actually get somebody to buy something, not just throw a bunch of videos out there.
You can use it to help you write a sales script, right? So that when you are on the phone with your client or customer or in person with them, what you need to say, what questions you need to ask. And then once you put together that kind of a sales script, you can use AI to go through and role play. They can play either the seller or the buyer. And you can go and do sales pitches over and over and learn how to take a no and turn it into a yes. Because a no just means not right now. So get you some sales training. But I don't think people use it for that. They always use it, like you said, how can I make 10 videos? No, how can you close 10 sales calls? Let's try that.
Why do you think people aren't getting to that yet? I mean, it feels like they know that kind of thinking hasn't worked in the past because they're constantly chasing, like we were just talking about. Why aren't we using AI for stuff like building relationships that last, like being able to close a deal, being able to get over the fact that you're going to hear no? Why aren't we using it for that kind of stuff yet?
Because marketing's more fun.
I think it's easier.
Yes.
Is it more fun, or is it just easier because they don't have to hear the word no?
It's fun.
It's an avoidance. It's an avoidance
yourself,
behavior. Sorry, Leland, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it gets yourself out there in the video. It's more fun. It's more entertaining. It's flashier. It is fun. But going back to those tools, I mean, there are tools. When I went to the Adobe conference, they were showing me all the stuff in Acrobat, and it is ridiculously easy to take your marketing materials, your text sheets and stuff like that, throw it into Acrobat and have it make sales proposals, have it you know, bring up sales statistics, and it's like, who, you know, where should I be targeting, all that kind of information, and then also be able to use it as like an, you know, well, this customer asked me this. Well, let me just go ask the AI that has all this information the question that the customer asked me, and then I can relay it back to the customer, making me a lot more prepared when I'm in a sales call, when I'm in a sales, you know, tunnel, to be able to help them and close that deal a little bit faster. I mean, so there are tools out there, and they're getting better, they're getting faster, they're getting cheaper, they're getting quicker. You just got to go out there and use them, and you got to learn how to use them. It's going to take a little bit of education, but you know, that's the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, I know. Come on. I, absolutely. And probably a lot of the things that we saw early in the year, at shows, you can do today on, Gemini 3 or 5.2. You just literally go into ChatGPT and tell it, I want you to play, or I want you to help me write, and it'll do it.
Yeah, you can even upload your stuff to it. You just add in the files and say,
Yep.
here's all my information about my products. Help me write this. Help me answer this question.
Yeah. Yeah. You just scan it, give it your URL, tell it to go read all the products on my website, and then let's have a conversation. You'll be
Yeah.
amazed.
Now, here's something fun, kind of not as sexy. And you just call me, what are you going to call me today? What, Eeyore, not sexy,
Eeyore.
but so powerful. So powerful. Take your sales data, download your reports, like from QuickBooks or whatever it is that you're using for your financials. You could do it over the years. You could do it like, I call it customer product relationships. So you can see by customer what they bought, how much they paid for it, or you can see by product what customers purchased, and so on and so forth. Throw that up into the AI and look at interesting way, where should you be targeting? What would be a lookalike audience if which of these was most profitable? Which of these customers was most profitable? Give me a list of people who are just like this. So much, that's the power in AI, is helping you target, helping you develop a product or a service based on, you can take questions or different things. If you have a chat bot or something on your site and people are asking questions, you can download all those questions. You can, like, oh my God, like the idea for the opportunities for partnering with AI to do innovations and product development for profitable products and services is just mind-boggling.
By the way, we better let the big guy go. Any last thoughts before you roll out?
No, man, it's just like I said, it's going to be a fun and exciting new year. So I'll catch you guys on the other side.
Later.
Peace.
I can't wait for and I hope 2026 is the year this happens, where the stuff that we just talked about, at least from a broader population of small business, because I think those of us that are in the bubble, we're always talking about this stuff, but it won't make a dent unless it gets out to the broader, outside the bubble of mom and pops, the general Main Street kind of small business. They're going to continue to fall further and further behind until they figure out how it's not about using technology to avoid the stuff you don't want to do. It's about leveraging it and finding out the best way that you attack it. And it's not just by buying a service, but really understanding. I think John mentioned, maybe I do need to take a sales course, or I do need to figure out how I can withstand hearing no. I mean, some of this stuff is not business. It's just inner, what we feel about ourselves internally. Like, if I hear no, I'm going to die or something like that. And I think a lot of that, once we get attacked, those things, that has nothing to do with technology. That's just the fear of no. I mean,
what the assumption is, think about, you got to do a reframe. I mean, I got to do this, right? The assumption is, listen to what you just said. If I hear no, blah, 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 it's as if the assumption is, I'm trying to get you I'm trying to manipulate you into buying something you don't need or want or is not going to make your life better. Right? And that is not the case. If that is what you're feeling, now you're talking to the wrong customer. That means you got to get you a new customer who's going to perceive and need and want the thing that you have. You're offering a desired outcome, right? And who are the people who need or want that? And once you have that, right, it's almost like you've seen a great movie or you saw a great show or a theater thing or a great movie or a great store or a great restaurant, and you are excited to share that with other people. Why? Because it's going to be a great experience. You see what I mean? And most people are starting out with this thing as if I'm trying to con you into giving me money, which is not a thing. Should not be a thing.
Yeah, I agree with Ivana. I think the sales training is also a great idea, particularly if you're working remote. There's a lot of things that you have to do before you get into a Zoom call with somebody, and people don't have always the I don't want to say they're negative, but they don't always have the best imagination about what you're doing to prepare for that, basically. So I think to Brent's point, part of the getting over the no and part of the reframing that Ivana has brought up too as well means also figuring out, what is it process-wise you should be doing. And I think part of that plays into how you operate in the IRL, whether you are, let's say that you have a taco truck and you are trying to sell more tacos at lunchtime, Pierre's Taco Emporium, PTE, so to speak. Yeah, there's a whole food theme. Thank you, Ivana, for the. so or it could be just how do you work with people face to face as well as how you work with the remote. And I think as you imagine that, you start imagining how do I reframe the comments do I get back. I'll say, I'll tell you guys honestly, when I started for analytics in 2009, that was a big deal because I had to really hear what types of no's I was going to get in order to start figuring out how to reframe it and not take it personally. So I kind of had to hit my head against the rock a lot of times. And there's a lot of people who do that. But I think, in retrospect, having someone going through sales training, I think is probably a valuable thing because you learn how to take the no's and learn how to figure out, okay, are they objecting from something about the way that I'm presenting the material? Or is it something the material itself? Maybe I'm selling napkins to restaurants who are getting ready to go out of business. And I need to have a better nose about, which restaurants to stay in. There's things I think that you learn that you need to train to learn over time.
It's almost like there needs to be a course on what happens after the no, because we're all going to get no, regardless, even from folks who say yes, maybe next year will be a no. So it feels like that's something that all of us, I struggle with it constantly, even from folks that I do usually hear yes from. It is a kind of a shock when you hear no after you hear yes. So you got to know what to do after that. There's going to be folks who say no right off the bat. There's going to be folks who say maybe no every now and again. It feels like we haven't dealt with the kind of the internal emotions that we may have when we hear no. And we're too afraid to find out. And this AI stuff does not take that away. But I think a lot of people are hoping it does.
It's the fear of failure more so than just the word no.
Yeah.
Overall, because it's like I've tried marketing things and it's failed, and I go, oh, this will never work. And then I've given up on some things in the past where it's like, because I failed. I didn't get the numbers that I was hoping. It's like I was trying like a brand new TikTok channel and I failed on TikTok. And it's like, okay, I'm demoralized. I'm going to go off and try something else. But I didn't give it enough chance. And I think that that's the big thing is that, and even with my wife, we're trying new things, different avenues of business, and we're not getting the explosive growth that we were hoping. No, it takes time. You gotta do the work. As even as was saying, it's like you've got to do the work. You've got to put in the time, the money, the hours to be able to get to it. And eventually, yes, you're going to fail, but what was it? It was like, every time I fail, it's not a failure. It's just a new way to learn how to not do something. It was Edison or something like that. And that's what you got to treat it. It's like, yeah, you got to know from his sales. Well, that's not a good way to do it then. Well, let's try this new avenue. Let's try this new way. I failed. I learned a way to not to do something. Let's try a new way. Hopefully that works.
I'll
Yeah. Go ahead.
Too, real quickly. I think sometimes I've learned that sometimes when people are saying no, no can be a good thing. Sometimes people said it because there was something going on in the business beyond, like for me, it was like, oh, we need to do analytics, plan out your marketing future. That's kind of what analytics is really about. It's about planning your activity. And the thing that I learned was that when people were saying no, it was because they knew in the back of their heads that their business might be going out of business, or that something major was changing that they just could not say yes to. It's just like if you're asking a stranger for a date, and they don't need to explain to you the name of the person that they're dating. They just need to say, hey, I'm not interested because I'm not available. You have to, I think we all learn as adults, eventually what the no means. I think that context in business sometimes can be a good thing, because it may be that people, small business owners in particular, they have a hard time coming out and saying, hey, we're running out of money, or hey, we are getting ready to shut our doors in 2 weeks, or what have you. And there's a lot of times where they don't even know if that's going to happen, but until it really does. So sometimes you have to kind of take the no as a sort of a very weird blessing, the sense that it shut one door for something, but it gave you more time now to try to find something else.
Yeah, I think you're all hitting on it, and Leland, I think you're right. The fear of failure, because I think a lot of people may equate no to failure, even though it might be we failed to stay with it long enough, and because we didn't, we ended up failing. But it wasn't because of something that we did initially. It might have been the only thing that we didn't do was follow up enough, or we didn't stick with it. A lot of folks are just afraid of sticking with it. So once again, maybe 2026 will be the year that we stick with it and find ways maybe that allows AI to help us. I just feel like people got to get over this shiny silver bullet kind of thinking that, oh, AI is going to be the cure for everything. Like, I don't know, other technologies have been that same kind of cure for everything, and it never was. We could all list all the technologies that people turn to that they thought, oh, well, we just have to do that. And when they find out, no, you got to do more than just that. Maybe, do you think there's a chance that and I'm just kind of speaking strictly about small businesses, that they can get past that thought this year, like, because there's still a lot of hype out there for AI and everybody's talking about it, and it feels like people are using that as the end all be all, and then we know it's not gonna work like that. Do you think we'll be able to get beyond that? Small businesses in general will be able to get beyond the AI is savior or the AI is devil, and just really refocus on the things that we just talked about? Because they're not as Even said, they're not the most shiny, they're not the prettiest thing. They're just probably the thing that will mean the most if you're able to get beyond all this shiny stuff, and oh, there is a place where this could really help me with the things that I think I need help with beyond just all that marketing pixie dust stuff.
Water finds its own level. I mean, that'll eventually happen with AI. I'm hoping that they stop cramming it into places that I don't want it, and they force it. There was it was LG. They put the Copilot app on an LG TV. Who the hell wants to put up Copilot on an LG TV? They removed it and they made it to where you couldn't remove it. You could only hide it. You cannot take it off of your TV. And it's like, stop cramming this into stuff that it's like, I don't want it on Windows. Honestly, I don't want AI at all anywhere on Windows, but they keep cramming it in. And it's like, that's the one thing that I hope that only gets put in when it needs to be put in, and it actually is very helpful, rather than it's like, oh, it's the new big thing, let's cram it into everything.
I like Leyland's comment about water rises to its own level. And I love that example you give about cramming it in. I did not know that about LG. That's kind of scary. That's also what happens in business. Everybody has to keep up with each other with having their version of AI or version of a technology. You see that with cars quite a bit. I still remember the 80s when people had, the minute someone added fuel injection, you had that little badge on the Cavalier or that badge on the badge on the LTD, fuel injection right there, basically. It's part of the game a little bit, but I think people can push back on that now much faster, which I think should be helpful for people offering AI. I think the trigger now will be, and I'll go back to my context engineering comment. When people are starting to network certain things, I think this is where we're going to see the pushback a little bit more, because people can kind of start putting some logic to why are we networking certain things. And if you don't believe the consequence, go back to the Battlestar Galactica, that first movie that they did where Admiral Adama is telling, I can't remember the woman's character, he's telling he doesn't want a networked Battlestar. And of course, you see how being networked was the downfall for the Battlestar. So there's a little bit of warning there.
Thanks for allowing us to see the geek in you there, Pierre.
Yeah, hey, I got memory for this stuff. There you go.
So for so did you remember the one? I've done this before, right? That's towards I think it was the very last season. The avalanche has started. It's too late for the pebbles to boat. I have done that one, right?
Wow.
So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what mood I am in. I do not know what mood this is that's got me thinking. I just don't think that most small business owners give two hoots about AI. I think that they are okay. Got my nails done today, right? Got my nails done today. It has been a manual process to walk into that place, just like you remember, you sign your name, you put the time in, whatever, with your hand and a pen. Every single nail salon in my town has now upgraded to the system where you got to put your phone number in, put your email in. It's all digital. These people typically do not do that kind of thing. There's no AI in it, but I'm just telling you, it is 2025, and they have just now added like a sort of point of sale, point of check-in computer. That's it. That's what they got. And I see that as the kind of the thing that Brent was saying when you played that video, when we first started this, about the farm person or whatever, and they were like, I'm not using AI. I think I'm going to throw out, I'm totally making this up, I think it's like 68%. Like, just really, 68% of small business owners did not have a website back in like 2012 or something like that. It was a huge number. And I think AI is like a non-issue. These people are like trying to freaking pay the bills and sell stuff. Like,
I think it does come into when the tools become available and stuff like that. So, it's like you talk about like farmers, and it does depend, because there are some farmers out there who have some pretty advanced technology in their tractors, in their watering systems and stuff like that, to be able to really help them. It's like there's a dairy farmer, and they have a whole automated system for their cows. The cows come, they don't milk them themselves. The cows go, yeah, I think I want to go and get milked. And so they'll go in, and it's got like RFID chips, and it'll be like, no, Bessie, you've already been milked today. All right, Greta, you come in, you get milked, and then they get fed, and it does it all automatically. They don't have to touch it. So it just depends on like, the industry. And, it's like, restaurants, they're going to want point of sale systems that, are getting more and more advanced, so that they have to do less and less work with their money and stuff like that. But the construction guys who are still actually laying pipe, they're not going to want anything, but their bookkeepers are definitely going to want it.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
There's something for everyone. I guess that's my message. You
Yeah.
can still run $1 million business without a website. You really can. I know people.
Man,
Right.
all right. Wow. All right. Well, that was the first of the year. Wow. That was, I don't think we actually had a conversation like that last year, but I'm glad we kind of started things off with that because yeah, it does feel like AI is a runaway freight train and Leland, that you talk about what going in the co-pilots going into all these devices and we also got to realize too that sometimes those co-pilots are not there for the consumers kind of help. It's also a data collection thing that we need to be aware
big
of.
time.
And
Big
even though you don't think it's doing anything, it's probably doing a lot more than you think it is by tracking everything you watch, when you watch it, the categories of things you watch, how long you watch things, just for having that little co-pilot thing there at your disposal. So just
If your tech is cheap, and it's unusually cheap, there's a reason.
You're the product.
You're the product. Yeah.
that hasn't changed. That is still actually you're probably even more of the product because of that stuff. All right. Any last thoughts? Anybody even anything you want to say before we end this one?
Oh, I think I kind of did, right? You just do the basics. Find your ideal customer, figure out what they want. I'll leave you with the Dan Kennedy phrase. Some people sell things so they can have customers. Other people have customers so they can sell them things.
Ooh.
So
I'll give I might drop the Dan on that one. How about that?
Dan Kennedy. Mm-hmm. Who's
All
next?
right. Pierre, what do you last thought here?
Two quick thoughts. I would say, there's a lot of great options. I think don't feel pressured to get into any one option. I think I think what you even brought up about small business owners, I think is very true in terms of there's technology out there, but I think now you can, there's still things that you can do to kind of warm into it. You don't have to jump into it, into the pool, so to speak. And the second thing is I am in need of pizza now, thanks to reference. So I just realized, I haven't had pizza in a while. I'm near Chicago too, so I will rectify that hopefully either later today or tomorrow, depending upon the schedule. So there you go.
And we'll go from pizza to brisket. Now we go to Leland.
There you go.
Don't let fear rule you. I mean, if I let fear rule me, and the first time I failed at a brisket, I wouldn't have made another brisket. And those are $70, $80, $100, and can be very expensive to mess up.
Yeah, don't let that keep you from brisket perfection. That's yeah. And I just say, just remember that, everybody's in a bunch about AI and all that. It's not the be all end all. It probably won't solve the things that are the most troubling to you. But it maybe can help, but it won't solve it on its own. Get that sales training help, attack the stuff, get over the fear. We should make like some kind of course on how do you get over the fear of no or something. I don't know. It feels like that's more of an issue than AI will ever be for a lot of folks. Even for me, I have it. I think it's a constant thing that we always have to be concerned about because whenever you hear it, you have to do something after it or you'll just be stuck in that no. Not good being stuck in the no. Believe me, I've done it before. Anyway, hope you have a great start to the year. We will love to have you back with us next Friday because, we like talking about this stuff and we love to hear from you as well. We will talk to you next Friday. Have a great weekend. See you later.